Ted Bundy?
I've never spoken to anybody about this.
30 years after he was executed, notorious serial killer Ted Bundy is having his story retold in documentaries and crime series this year.
Party evenings were stopped, and ladies on college campuses lived in perpetual fear. Not only was he a threat, but also the monster your parents warned you about, hiding in plain sight with his captivating grin and charming manner. Welcome back to Mogul Flicks. In today's episode, we'll uncover the chilling truth about a man who brutally killed his victims. Beneath his charming smile was a vicious deed, a murderer who terrorized the US in the 1970s, a serial killer, a monster. The man called Ted Bundy. Watch until the end, like, subscribe, and comment below. Eleanor Louise Cowell gave birth to Theodore Robert Bundy Cowell on November 24, 1946, in Vermont. Although the identity of his real father was never revealed, Lloyd Marshall, a member of the United States Air Force, appears to be mentioned as his father on his original birth certificate. Jack Worthington, a military veteran Louise claimed to have met, left her shortly after she became pregnant. To avoid the social stigma connected with being born outside of wedlock at the time, Bundy's maternal grandparents, Samuel Connect Cowell and Eleanor Miriam Longstreet, raised him as their son for the first 3 years of his life in the neighborhood of Northeast Philadelphia. Ted had been told that his mother was his older sister and that his grandparents were his parents. Eventually, Bundy found out the truth about his family. He claimed to have nursed a lifetime of hatred against his mother for letting him figure out his true paternity on his own and for failing to disclose to him who his biological father was. He became an introvert and started committing crimes. Julia Cowell, Ted's aunt, remembered waking up from a nap surrounded by knives from the kitchen, only to find her 3-year-old nephew standing by the bed grinning. Can you picture that? A 3-year-old? According to accounts, his grandfather Samuel was an oppressive tyrant who tortured his dog and wife and held xenophobic and racist views. In more recent investigations, these accounts of Bundy's grandparents have come under scrutiny. It led some to justify Ted's behavior. In 1996, he enrolled in the University of Washington's law school. His professors attested to his intelligence. He was devastated when his dream girl broke up with him, but when young women started missing in the Pacific Northwest, he completely stopped attending classes. When his girlfriend learned about the items in his possession, she reported Ted to the authorities 3 times. These were the deadly items: crutches, the bag of plaster of Paris he admitted to stealing from a medical supply store, the meat cleaver he'd never used for cooking, a sack filled with women's clothes, surgical gloves, and an oriental knife in a wooden case that he stored in his glove compartment. 6 missing women made headlines in Oregon and Washington newspapers and on television. At least 12 of his victims were decapitated, and he kept the heads as decorations in his flat. When he used a crowbar to knock Hawkins out after luring her to his car, homicide investigators and a criminalist searched the entire neighborhood on their hands and knees and discovered nothing. Bundy strangled her and drove her to Issaquah, which is 30 miles east of Seattle, where he raped her dead body. The full extent of the killings in Oregon and Washington occurred on July 14th, when 2 women were kidnapped in broad daylight from a busy beach at Lake. He approached Janice Ann Ott, a 23-year-old probation caseworker at the King County Juvenile Court, with the sailboat story, and 3 other witnesses saw her go from the beach with him. She never came back. 19-year-old Naslund, a prospective computer programmer, disappeared from the picnic after using the bathroom. FBI agent Williams, who was working on Bundy's arrest, claimed that Ott was still alive when he and Naslund returned, and that he had one of them watch while he raped and killed the other. Denise Lynn Oliverson, age 25, vanished close to the Utah-Colorado border while riding her bike to her parents' house in Grand Junction. Her sandals and bike were discovered beneath a viaduct next to a railway overpass. According to Bundy, Oliverson was kidnapped and slain in his car close to the Utah state line, and her body was discarded into the Colorado River. Kimberly Leach, age 12, was seen by a witness being pushed into his Beetle Volkswagen and driven to his Holiday Inn hotel room while she was walking home to fetch her school bag. He then drowned Kimberly in the Woodlake Inn after sexually assaulting her. Officer Bob Hayward of the Utah Highway Patrol apprehended Bundy in August 1975 in a different Salt Lake City area. In the early morning hours, Hayward saw Bundy driving around a residential neighborhood in his Volkswagen Beetle and quickly taking off when he spotted the patrol car. After searching the Volkswagen and discovering that the front passenger seat had been taken out and positioned on the back seats, he discovered equipment used in break-ins. Ted could have been freed if he had persisted, as he had just a year and a half to serve out a sentence on the Derange conviction. Rather, Bundy put up a fresh escape strategy and obtained a comprehensive jail floor plan as well as a hacksaw blade from other prisoners. Bundy was apprehended for the abduction of Derange in February 1976. He was charged with the offense of kidnapping and assault by Judge Stuart Hanson Jr. following a 4-day bench trial and a weekend of deliberations. Berner was freed from custody after the police decided there was a lack of proof to hold him. Bundy was bailed by the police for the sum of $15,000. He was given a sentence of 15 years at the Utah State Prison in June. He was discovered disguising himself in the jail yard's bushes in October with a social security card, route maps, and flight timetables in his escape package. Authorities in Colorado accused him of killing Campbell later the following month. Despite a phase of resistance, he decided not to pursue prosecution and was sent to Aspen in January 1977. He requested to use the courthouse law library to conduct research for his case during a break. He unlocked a window and jumped to the surface from the second story, breaking his right ankle as he landed, hiding from the eyes of his security personnel behind the shelves. Roadblocks were being erected on the outside of Aspen, so Bundy dropped his thickest layer of clothing and staggered into the Aspen Mountains. He snatched clothes, food, and a firearm from a hunting cabin after breaking in. He stole a white van the next day. 1 week after arriving in Tallahassee on January 15, 1978, in the early hours of the morning, Bundy broke through the rear entrance of the Chi Omega sorority home at FCU, which was not properly locked, and bundled Margaret Elizabeth Bowman, age 21, in a piece of oak firewood while she slept, starting around 2:45 a.m., then covered her with a nylon stocking. He also went into Lisa Janet Levy's bedroom, knocked the 20-year-old unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her nipples, bit her in the left buttock, and sexually assaulted her using a hairspray bottle. He assaulted Kathy Kleiner, age 21, shattering her jaw and severely cutting her shoulder, and Karen Chandler, also age 21, suffering a knockout, broken jaw, lost teeth, and crushed finger in the next bedroom. On December 23, 1977, Bundy filed a motion for switching the trial's destination from Aspen to Denver. The trial judge accepted the request, but Colorado Springs was chosen instead since judges there had a history of being unfriendly to murder suspects. Bundy was put to death on Tuesday, January 24, 1989, at exactly 7:16 a.m. EST in the Rayford electric chair. In his final words, he addressed Methodist priest Fred Lawrence and attorney Jim Coleman, saying, "Jim and Fred, please give my love to my family and friends." As the execution took place, hundreds of people at the field across from the prison chanted, danced, and let off fireworks. What baffled me was how deliberately misogynistic his crimes were. His obvious hatred of women, coupled with his complete lack of empathy, left no trace of him. Bundy thought he had complete authority over the world, an individual with psychopathy. Not only was Ted Bundy a murderer, but he also took pleasure in it. Was the deception that his mother was his sister a childhood trauma, or his crimes motivated by his dream girl's rejection later on? Or was Ted Bundy just born for murder? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mogul Flicks for more incredible stories. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.